Hi, everyone. This is Caroline from Fiat Integrative Health in Franklin, Tennessee, and you're listening to the Fiat Health Podcast. We believe that now more than ever, the healthcare industry has become a place of confusion. And over the years, we have been asked countless questions about what true health and integration for the whole person looks like. Join us every other week as we explore topics ranging from primary care and women's health to counseling and spiritual health. We're so glad you're here. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fiat Health Podcast. I'm Lucy today, Lucy Bordick. I'm one of the counselors here at Fiat. And today I am not the main guest. I'm going to be kind of interviewing another counselor here, Travis, and I'll let him introduce himself in a second. But we're going to be talking all about attachment styles. What are they? How can we work with them in therapy? Why do we work with them in therapy? And yeah, I feel like this is a common topic that clients bring to me. So I thought it would be good for us to have a podcast here on it. But Travis, I'm going to hop over to you. Will you give us a little introduction about you and then we'll go from there?
Yeah, thank you, Lucy. Travis, I'm also a therapist here, and I'm happy to be speaking about attachment theory, something deep and dear to me, and in a lot of ways has informed my style, my therapeutic style.
Awesome. I would love to start with how you first encountered attachment styles and attachment theory.
Yeah, so there's a lot that's been stated about attachment theory and attachment styles as of late, but it's a pretty recent phenomenon, I guess, or field of interest. Actually, for me, it was in graduate school. I hadn't really known about attachment theory or attachment style of counseling. And my first pass was during graduate studies. We were learning about childhood development, and we studied some of Bowlby and some of Ainsworth and realized, oh my gosh, this stuff really makes sense. And it was deeply impactful, and also gave me just a sense of validation around my experience in life and the experience of the human capacity, human experience moving forward as well.
I remember I first heard about it. I don't even know when, but I remember thinking it was just like another personality test. Like, oh, cool, right. We'll just take this little quiz, find out my attachment style.
There are some good attachment quizzes as well. Maybe we could find them and link them to the show notes.
That'd be a great idea, yeah. But it was interesting in grad school and post-grad to learn like, oh, wait, there's a little bit more to this than just, a light little internet quiz. So I'm excited to hop into that.
Mm-hmm.
Can you start us off kind of with just a rundown of attachment styles for anyone who hasn't heard of them before?
Yeah, so there's 4 basic kind of categorical styles of attachment. And there is what is the desire of every human person is to have a secure attachment. And then from that, or a deviation of that, would be anxious, avoidant, or disorganized. Those would be the 4 main attachment styles, and kind of give you a brief summary of these to kind of help us unpack and better understand these. So secure attachment, this is where there's a foundation in the relationship where you feel attuned to your caregivers, that there's a deep sense of presence there, that they see you and know you and love you. And there's warmth and consistency. There's a few different acronyms that us in the clinical profession really kind of geek out about. There's lots of acronyms in our profession, but there's the 4 S's. So this is where you would want to feel safe and secure and seen and soothed. So that experience between primary caregiver and the child is one of safety, security, to be seen, and also to feel soothed when they're dysregulated. And then the other one is actually all with the letter A. So this is where there's a deep connection to attention, affection is communicated and received. There's an acceptance of all of whatever human experience you're having. and then felt sense of appreciation. So attention, affection, acceptance, and appreciation. And the markers are like, you have a significant amount of these things. No one has them perfectly. And from those early kind of formational experiences, there's a sense of safety that you feel and security that you feel. And then in the kind of insecure attached style realm, there's three broad categories of these: anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, and disorganized attachment. I always like to say, like, okay, say you grew up in a household where mom and dad are fighting a lot, and at an early age, you kind of feel just more anxious for their attention. So that anxiety can kind of give itself to like always feeling like maybe I'm not going to have the kind of care or attention that I need. And you're wanting to make sure that it's always going to be there. And then the avoidant style is also kind of categorized by, sometimes we can refer to this as like the Heisman Trophy stance, where you're guarded and you're at a distance and
you have an arm out pushing them away.
Yeah. So that's kind of like I'm detached from anything that's vulnerable or any kind of emotional engagement. I'm not going to get too close to people. So that would be more of like an avoidant posture.
And you said anxious kind of comes when you're, anxious that you won't be getting the kind of care you need. How do you end up at avoidant?
Yeah. So a lot of the research would say that if you live in a home where your inner life really wasn't affirmed, or your experience wasn't affirmed, and you just kind of were dismissed often as a child, then you might just kind of give up and say, well, I guess this isn't really that important.
Like the times you were vulnerable weren't met with these 4 S's or 4 A's.
That's right.
And so you no longer think it's worth doing.
Yeah. So there's times where you didn't get the affection and attention, and then you kind of just toss in the towel altogether and say, this isn't for me. And then there's what's called disorganized. And this one is a little bit mixed, where there's kind of a push-pull. So I bring you in and I feel safe and secure and I open up, and then I feel scared about that opening up. So I pull away.
Mm-hmm.
And then I come back in and then I kind of pull away. So the disorganized attachment style is also one of kind of fits under the umbrella of the insecure style of attachment.
Yeah. So there's secure, and then there's kind of the 3 other types that all fit under insecure: anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. Mm-hmm. Disorganized is also sometimes called anxious avoidant.
Anxious avoidant, yeah.
Just that like combo of the other 2.
Right. It's kind of like a marriage of the 2.
Mm-hmm.
You're both anxious and you're avoidant. Mm-hmm.
Please come closer. Wait, never mind. Go away.
Yeah. Too close. Sorry.
Yeah. How... I know this has obviously been studied a lot, at least in recent years. What are some of those like kind of hallmark studies?
I really like, there's one that's called the still face experiment, which is really interesting. It's not long. You can check it, like look it up on YouTube, the still face experiment. But they basically bring an infant into a room, and they ask the mother to engage with this infant and show signs of connection, little cooing, paying attention to what they're pointing to. And then they tell the mother to turn away for just a brief moment. And it's at that time where you start to see this infant kind of getting dysregulated. They're obviously feeling a little uncertain and not knowing. And then they
start whining.
And they start yelling and screaming. And then she quickly turns around and immediately soothes that child. And that child calms down. And those needs for safety and security, we think of these things sometimes, and maybe we'll get into this a little bit later. I was like, oh, well, that happened so long ago. Like that, I have no idea. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
The average individual person can't typically recall memories from before about 4 years old anyhow. So why does it matter?
Mm-hmm.
But that stands as kind of the foundational template for how we see ourselves in relation to others.
Yeah.
And then Ainsworth came. She was a protege of Bowlby, and she kind of tested and expanded this theory of attachment theories as well.
Those would be some good names to look up if people were looking for more research here. Bowlby, Ainsworth?
Mary Ainsworth, yeah.
Ainsworth. Okay, so something we haven't quite explicitly said, but that's definitely been implied is like attachment style is developed in our early years of childhood. Is that something we're stuck with? Are we just destined to be anxious in our relationships for the rest of our lives if that's what was happening in our early years?
No, yeah, that's good. Really good. No, it's not fixed in that sense. It's not determined by our primary figures of attachment in our own lives. And actually, this is in some ways our common human quest is to grow and change and develop. So these styles of attachment are part of kind of the way that we were raised, and then also with experiences they may have had, really primary relational experiences that you've had are things that kind of help shape and form our attachment style. But then we also have a chance to realize and wake up and validate and experience, okay, this is happening again and again, over and over. You know, I might work with a client who dates a lady and gets to about 6 to 9 months and then gets to this point where it's like, I can't go any further. I just can't. And it's very common for us to look at our primary historical look at their lifestyle and their relationship with their primary caregivers, mother, father, or anyone else who is a meaningful relationship in their formative years, and realize like, oh, there we go. Like this avoidant attachment style is kind of part of the deal. So good news, marvelous, can change. It's not fixed, although it is foundational.
It's kind of it. The way you're describing it almost makes it feel like it's our instinct to act out of these ways, but we have choice in whether or not to continue.
Yeah, I love that idea of like choice, right? So if you think about attachment, like there's these natural desires to be attached, and I mean we see from the way that the human life is transmitted is in a place of attachment between husband and wife, between man and woman. Then the child is physically attached, like to the mother for that 9 months. And then there's a time of bonding and a time of connection that develops early on in that developmental life of a child. So attachment, and then, as you said, choice, that freedom of choice. There is this thought of everyone has their kind of authentic experience that's internal to them. And it may not be properly attuned to or have that warmth or that kind of consistent experience of relational engagement. And it's when our authenticity isn't connected to, or maybe it's devalued or diminished, that we can develop these more insecure styles.
I think I'm questioning my own word of choice just because I don't want that to sound like just choose to not be anxious. Just choose to not break up with her after 6 to 9 months. But I do think there's choice in noticing the pattern, in naming the pattern, in choosing to explore the pattern and maybe do something that's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, that small step, right? That like little measurable, kind of small, little risk here. We're not going into the deep end quite yet, but maybe we'll wade out into the kiddie pool.
How do you find a client's attachment style?
Yeah, sometimes it's just directly asking about family of origin. What was your relationship like with your mother or father? And sometimes getting a feel for that. And then Also other meaningful relationships as well in a client's life. And then also too, the therapeutic relationship that is developed within therapy. It also kind of points to someone's overall attachment style. It's pretty clear after some time.
How the client relates to you. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about like clients that might say things like, I was nervous last session that I said this thing and you took it this way, Lucy. Be like, whoa, you really care about this relationship. You're really nervous about a tear or rupture in this relationship. There's some attachment style information there.
Yeah.
And things like that.
Yeah. I think like sometimes getting the understanding that, okay, I have a particular style of attachment that's on the insecure side can be a little bit overwhelming to some folks. And it's like, man, this is a big deal. But I love your question about it being fixed or not. And
right. This isn't a diagnosis.
That's right. That's right. And it's also too, it's like in some ways, welcome to humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Very few of us have a deeply secure attachment, and for a variety of reasons. And it doesn't, secure attachment does not demand, our Blessed Lady and Saint Joseph. It just means that when there is rupture or when there's a pass at a relational opportunity for connection, that we go back and we repair.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the rub here, like the thing that separates folks, is that if we have a commitment to repair the relationship connection that was lost or missed at the time, that's the thing that's like really, really helpful.
If I can add an aside, I think I'm a mom to young kids. You're a dad to young kids. But I think a lot of parenting social media posts lately are about attachment and always picking up your kid when they cry for the sake of attachment, things like that. And I think even as a counselor that understands attachment theory, sometimes they can kind of freak me out of like, oh my gosh, I took 2 minutes to get to my crying kid instead of 1. Like, there goes our attachment. Clearly, that's some catastrophic thinking there. But I think what you just said about repair is the key to this, and the key that I really try and keep in mind as a counselor that is a mother, that is a counselor, of like, okay, I mess up sometimes, or sometimes I'm not able to respond in the way I wish to my kids, but I can come back and I can revisit and I can apologize and tell them, hey, I wish I could have done that moment differently. I think that's a piece that brings me a lot of comfort as a mom trying to hopefully create secure attachment with my kids.
Yeah, I think there is definitely an evoked sense of fear in just the average person that's like, oh no, am I going to make this insecure attachment bond with my child? And there's a lot of apprehension, but to put that at rest, and really just these things are pretty self-evident in a lot of ways. Like, hey, I just want to be seen. I want to be known. And I want to be loved. And every child has this desire to be seen and known and loved, and then loved and being seen and known. And, children have a deep interior life, and we're going to, we're going to mess up.
Yes.
I'm distracted on my phone. And the kid says, hey, Dad, look at this. And I'm like, not right now. And like, you know what? Hold on a second. Let me go back.
Right.
Say, hey, buddy. You really want to just show me something cool, and I'm here right now. I want to hear it out. What you got? That double backing is the kicker.
We can't see, know, and love them perfectly, but we can do so with some level of consistency, and we can repair when we don't. There's this quote I really love from another therapist that says, like, the only events that become trauma are the ones that are not acknowledged and that we go through alone. And I think about that a lot with repair too.
Wow, yeah.
And like alone connects so deeply there with attachment too. Like attachment's all about connection. Okay, wait, we were talking a second ago about people kind of being afraid of these moments, or not being afraid, but yeah, it can feel like a big deal sometimes to get this insecure attachment label. is there a risk of over-identifying with an attachment style?
I do think that there's the same risk of over-identifying with any other particular condition that you may have.
Label.
Right. Yeah. So if somebody is diagnosed with, I don't know, type 2 diabetes. I don't think they would say like, I am type 2 diabetes. Similarly, if you realize, after doing a quiz or in therapy, you realize, man, I have this kind of attachment style of, it's anxious. It's an anxious attachment style. It's something that sets a foundation and is a framework that gives you the opportunity to start to change and adjust. And through fulfilling relationships, really, attachment can change. Your attachment style actually can change. And people can have curative, adaptive relationship experiences that kind of reframe our style of attachment for sure.
What do you feel the connection is here between attachment and the faith life, the spiritual life?
Oh, man. Yeah. So kind of a $5,000 word called anthropomorphism. Anthropomorphism is the ability or the tendency to appropriate aspects or characteristics of the divine that are found and experienced in a human way. So basically, the qualities that you experience in relationship are then attributed to those of God. So your attachment style in some ways kind of will naturally and evidently serve as a template or pattern for your attachment that you have to God. So for example, if someone has, an experience of father and mother being a little bit disinterested, you might see God as distant or uncaring. Or if you have like an anxious, like pleasing focused personality, you may feel like you have to please God and like kind of in some ways earn his affection and love. So I think there's a really deep connection between our attachment style and our faith life. This can be a separate podcast all on its own. There's a lot there for sure.
That makes me think of how that's like your relationship with God is a whole other area that you could be working towards a secure relationship, secure attachment. Yeah. Okay. As we wrap up, I'm thinking, is there anything we've missed? Are there any myths or misunderstandings that people have about attachment styles that you think we should hit before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think that there's some things, some dismissiveness. Maybe folks would be like, oh, this is overly emotional, or, attachment style parenting or attachment theory is just kind of overemphasizes the emotional domain. And it's this idea of like, man, I'm just kind of coddling my child, and which leads to like this over-dependent child. And that's really not from attachment theory at all. So that would be like a misconception. And then two, I think there's just in some ways a collective felt sense that our emotions or that emotional connection is kind of like a second class citizen in our inner world. So it's to just diminish or devalue or dismiss our inner lived experience, and that our emotions center is active and alive and part of the way that God made us, fully human, and that they are fundamentally good, that our emotions are fundamentally good. And these things do mean a lot. They mean a lot for our outcomes. And there's there's a bunch of studies done about like secure attachment and how successful you are in life and how satisfied you are in a relationship. That's good stuff.
This was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. For closing, I would say if you're interested in learning more, we'll find maybe one or two surveys that people can take, an attachment quiz you could take. Obviously, this is stuff that you would talk about in therapy, and then some good resources. There's a couple books called Healing Your Attachment Style, There's a book called Attached, Learning Your Attachment Style. Some podcasts, Restore the Glory podcast, really good. Adam Young's got a good podcast. He's got a bunch of stuff there on attachment. And
I just saw he has a book. I don't think it's specifically about attachments, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A coworker has a group called Catholic in Recovery that has some podcasts. I think Pints with Aquinas recently interviewed a doctor from Steubenville as well on attachment. There's a bunch out there.
It's awesome. This can be just the starting place if you're interested for more. There's plenty out there.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Travis. I heard things that I haven't heard before today, so that was exciting for me, and I hope this blesses some of the people that get to listen.
Yeah, me too. Thank you, Lucy.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. To learn more, you can visit our website at fiathealth.org. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. This helps make the podcast easier to find. Lastly, if you'd like to reach out, ask a question, or suggest a topic for a future show, send us an email at media@fiathealth.org. God bless.